I bet when you said you'd see me sometime, you didn't think it was gonna take me over a year to post another video. Sorry about that. I wish I had a good excuse, but I've actually never had one of those before. First things first, yes, I did get married on November 5th. And then, very early the next morning, we got on a plane and headed to our honeymoon. We were out of the country for 1 week. 1 week! And everything went to shit. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to watch your own country unravel in real time from afar, but it was kind of like that scene in that one J.J. Abrams Star Trek where Spock is forced to watch Vulcan implode. Except I don't think that Spock ever had to explain to a waiter that his home state on Vulcan actually permitted early voting, and that he'd actually already voted against implosion 2 weeks prior, and that's why it was okay that he wasn't actually on the planet at the time. I still think about that waiter. I tried so hard to convince him that Vulcan definitely would never implode. Oh well, moving on. In one of your previous videos you mentioned how people change. And you were right, you can't expect someone to change instantaneously. Much in the way that you can't expect a teenager to change instantaneously into an animal. It does take some time to focus and, summon up that animal DNA. I'm talking, of course, about the Animorphs. Specifically the 19th installment of the series, The Departure. Now, I don't really know how much you know or care about the Animorphs series of books, but I'm gonna be spoiling some stuff here. The conclusion to this book has always bothered me, even when I read it as a kid. And I know this is just a children's book series, and I really shouldn't be concerned with inconsistencies, but I just can't let this go. So just as a quick recap, the series is about a group of teenagers who fight a secret alien invasion by turning into animals. This ability is granted to them by a member of a super advanced alien race via technology that's never really explained. So of course there are rules. You need to first touch an animal in order to absorb its DNA, then you can morph into that animal. But you have to morph back into your previous self within 2 hours, otherwise you get stuck that way forever. For some reason. You can't morph directly from one animal to another for some reason. And there are weird rules about conservation of mass that I don't really want to get into. It's weird, okay? Anyway, this book breaks one of the biggest rules established in the entire series. The main character in this story, Cassie, volunteers to stay in a caterpillar morph beyond the 2-hour limit, thus trapping her in that form forever. But then, after she forms a chrysalis and turns into a butterfly, she's then able to demorph back into human form. Which means this flipbook animation should actually be the other way around, because she never actually morphs directly into the butterfly. Basically, the rationale that's given here is that the transition from caterpillar to butterfly is a natural metamorphosis, and therefore just resets the morph clock for some reason. So is this limit arbitrary? What is this morph clock, and why does it even do what it does? Because it's been a while since I've read most of these books, but I'm pretty sure that it was supposed to be a limit of the technology itself. By now it should be apparent that these books are anything but clear, but I have to assume that the morphing technology itself views this natural metamorphosis in the exact same way that it views a normal morph. It pretty much has to, otherwise how would it recognize the morph from caterpillar to butterfly as a morph at all? That also means it should be governed by the same rules, and I mean all the rules. And that would include the rule against morphing directly from one animal into another. So really, if the rules had still been in effect, then this should have actually just been impossible. So what could possibly be going on here? It could just be that the morphing technology shuts off after 2 hours, and then any morphs that could occur naturally just wouldn't be governed by it. And then after the morphing is complete, then that sort of jump starts the technology back into activation. And if that were the case, it might make sense for her to be able to demorph back into a caterpillar. Because if we're conceding that the morphing technology has reset, then it really should reset all aspects of it. The technology would have seen that she started off as a caterpillar and then morphed into a butterfly, and assumed that that was her original state. There's no reason for it to retain the human state at all, if it was shut down, in fact. Now, of course, once she's in her demorphed caterpillar state, then she could theoretically morph back into her human form, where she could stay for up to 2 hours, except maybe not. I don't really know. The books aren't 100% clear on that. But it would still make more sense than whenever it is that happens here. But hey, this is hardly the only odd quirk in the morphing technology, and there's even some precedent for morphing directly from one animal into the next in very specific edge cases. So ultimately it's fine, probably. Lewis, I will see you whenever.